Good evening, everyone. We, of course, all know that the word zachor, the idea to remember, to reflect, be mindful of our past, is essential to who we are as a people. It's essential to who we are as individuals. It's essential to how we are to grow. What it is that we learn from the past has everything to do with how we live in the present, and has everything to do with how we aspire to live and who we be destined to become in the future. For us, we just came out of the holiday of Pesach, Passover, the time where we reflect in great detail. We tell the story of our degradation, Maschel Beginus, begin with the story of Avadim Hayinu, who were slaves to Pharaoh and Mitzrayim, the shibur, the servitude, the bondage, the slavery, the painful history, and to celebrate our future, our redemption, our geula, the process, and the story of our salvation. Tonight, as we commemorate Yom Hashoah again annually, as we do so in a time that is very turbulent, a time where anti-Semitism around the world is in catapult of rise. It's an avalanche of story that continues to have rhetoric that denies the Holocaust, which is painful to even utter those words, around the nations in our beautiful world. Nations of people that are sadly those who deny history, that flagrantly proclaim words that are antithetical to truth, to what we believe, and the living legacy of our precious survivors. And so tonight it is essential for us, as we do every single year, and it is important for us to do really every single day. Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim, remember the redemption from Egypt, not just once a year, Passover time, but also every single day. The end of our davening, every single day, we have the Sheish Zichronos, the 6 remembrances. Because remembering and reflecting on the past is essential. One who does not reflect on the past is destined to participate in the bombastic reality of the repeat of history and its unkind gestures, and in this instance, the darkest period for which our modern Jewish history, the eyes of which our beloved Chef Meir Rappaport and other survivors, their eyes that they saw. And so tonight being here together is essential. It's essential because it demonstrates not only to beloved Chef Meir that Am Yisrael Chai, that we are a people that, yes, we reflect on the past, but we're here to hear a story, to learn even when it's a painful story, most importantly because we never forget. Never forgetting means that we tell the story. We tell the story to our children, to our grandchildren, to the descendants, our future, our lineage, our precious, precious Morashah Kehilas Yaakov, our heritage, which is our future. We tell the story so that everybody can continue to tell the story. Mostly, though, so that the horrors and the demonic forces of what were, they will never again happen. It happens when we are faithful to Torah and mitzvos. It happens when we are faithful to who we are meant to be in our story, and our narrative, and our destiny, and our future. And together tonight, we celebrate the life of Meir Rappaport, whose precious presence in our community is nothing short of the greatest treasure. I mentioned this so many times before, and it's worth mentioning time and time again. Perhaps the most riveting and inspiring scenes that many of us who come to the daily morning minyan see is the scenes of seeing Chef Meir wrap his tefillin. It's not just the wrapping of the tefillin of a man who wraps his phylacteries tefillin on his arms, but his tefillin, the symbol of our bond and our connection, unwavering connection to the Almighty, the symbol, the simon of our connection, the tefillin wrapping. That tefillin wraps itself over the numbers that were emblazoned into the skin. A Meir, when he was a prisoner in Buchenwald, when he was a prisoner in so many of the other camps, in the darkest period in a childhood that was robbed from him and from his family. It's a story of triumph over tragedy. It's a story of Am Yisrael Chai, of our people. And so tonight, being here together marks an evening of reflection, an evening that's meaningful for Mayor, for Ruth, for Mayor's children, grandchildren, and for all of us who are blessed to be part of your family. And so tonight, I think it's fitting and appropriate, certainly because of the virulent rhetoric that passes through our airways and through media and other places. It's important for us to frame tonight, first and foremost, by offering words of Psalms, words of Tehillim David Melech, soothing us, reminding us that there is tikva, that there is hope, that there is promise. With our connection to the Ribono Shel Olam, we'll begin with one chapter of Tehillim, Kuf Chaf Aleph, chapter 121. Please rise. Shalom Alos, Esai Nayel Heholim, Me'ayim Ezri. Ezri Me'imabino, Yosei Shamayim Bo'ones. Al Yitei L'amod V'necha, V'num Shemecha. Hinei Lo Yanom V'lo Yishon Shemei Yisrael. Adonai Shemecha, Adonai Tzilcha, Al Yad Yaminecha. Yemam Hashemesh Le'ekeka V'yireyach B'layla. Adonai Yishmecha Mikora, Yishmor Es Nafshecha. Adonai Yishmor Tzeitzcha V'yecha, V'yetav Yadonai. At this time, I'm going to ask Chef Mayor to please light one of the candles, and I'll ask all of Mayor's grandchildren to please come forward. Children and grandchildren of survivors to please come forward to light the 6 yahrzeit candles to commemorate the 6 million Jews who died on Kiddush Hashem, and the small tea lights as well. Please come forward. The 6 yahrzeit candles and the tea lights representing the children, the descendants, the 600 million for whom we would never be privileged to know. Invite now anybody now who would like to light candles. I want to take this opportunity once again to thank our beloved Chef Mayor. As you do so meaningfully and so eloquently, passionately, every year you tell the story of your life and your survival. You know how treasured and how precious you are to every single one of us. How much your presence in our community, it emboldens us, inspires us, it gives us perspective, and it shapes how we go about our day. Just watching you daven and watching you live your life, it is extraordinary, and we are blessed to feel so close to you. Tonight, our program is going to include a few parts. The first, as part of this armchair conversation, is for you to perhaps at the beginning tonight share a little bit about your childhood and where you're from. And then as you begin to tell us your story, we're going to hear some questions that have been prepared by some of our youngsters, some of our teenagers in our community. We're going to ask you questions also for the purpose of them learning about you and learning your story, how they can then take your message to their adolescence and their life and be a source of inspiration to their generation and the next generation. So let's begin first, Mayor, if you can. Tell everybody, where were you born? Where were you from? Tell us a little bit, if you can, about your childhood.
I was born in Poland, in the city Sosnowiec, which is about 20 to 30 miles away from Krakow. I had that childhood, but I cannot too much talk about this, because if I would talk about my childhood, I would not be able to talk to you at all. So if you forgive me, I cannot talk too much about my childhood. Just when people ask me about the Holocaust, everything else I mentioned.
So how old were you when the Holocaust began?
I was 15 years old when the Holocaust came out.
And what was the life that you were living like, and how did it immediately change?
I was born to a family of my father, say he was very orthodox, very pious. And that's what I have been like. He's my idol. But I always was thinking about him, how my life should be, how my life should continue to be. When I was in the concentration camps and I was in the there's only one thing that kept me going. That was to have emunah. To have emunah and to understand myself, who I am and what I am.
Did you know what was happening? Did you read, was there news that was spreading? You were living a regular childhood, 15 years old, going to school, going about your business, and then all of a sudden, was it over a period of time?
In 1939, the 1st of September, the Nazis came into our city, occupied it. We did not know nothing what's happening. Just the next day, 2 days later, we found out what was going on. It was terrible to see what they did. They took out people from the houses, and they killed them, they shot them next to the farms, next to the schools, next to the schools. Wherever they found the Jewish people, they just tried to.
Did you have to be on the run? Were you deported? Were you in a labor camp? Or right away in
We
concentration?
could not be on the run, because everybody was the order, everybody should have the yellow star, and we would do that. You cannot go in front and not the back, you had to wear it. And if you didn't wear it, then you know what happened. You had to wear it. 1939, end of the 1939, I was taken to work for forced labor. That was not far from my city, about 50 miles away, just we had to be brought in a small, not the concentration camp, just forced labor. And we were working the constructions, take out take out the buildings, what they had iron inside, what they need the iron to be able to take out, to destroy houses and take the iron out of that kind of a work we were doing.
When you went to the first forced labor facility, were you with family? Were you with friends, people from your neighborhood?
I was alone. I didn't have no family at that time, but I had only a second cousin, my mother's cousin, but he was there also. Just they took him out and sent him to another place, and I was so. While I was working at the forced labor camp, they wanted me to go to work with a small engine. They took out the constructions, bring it out to the forced labor. And so I was an assistant to the engineer. But what was my job? To chop the poles in the machine, clean the machine, oil the machine, that was everything.
From 1939 to the liberation on April 11th, 1945, how many forced labor camps or concentration camps were you in?
Ich Margrethe Kenningsette Lauer Tisch downloaded. I just felt Sackenheim till I came to the first camp of Blechhammer. Blechhammer was the first concentration camp, and that was in 1942.
And was Buchenwald the last place?
Buchenwald was the last, just from Blechhammer in 1944. Middle of 1944, they took us out and we had to march from Blechhammer to Groß-Rosen. It was whoever heard about Groß-Rosen, that was a camp of whoever came in was lucky to get out.
Were you among just a few children in Buchenwald? Mostly it was.
No, I was not the only one. Just my son in Israel just sent me in the last minute today that they showed on the Israel show. That's just the children of Buchenwald. That's just the real children of Buchenwald. That was the block 1935. As there was another block 66, they were a little bit older already, the children. So that's supposed to read. But I wrote also that my novel was in this block.
Are you in that picture?
Yes, I am here in this picture. It was hard for me also to identify, to see if that's really me.
I know that there are a number of people here this evening who remember when Rabbi Lau was a guest of ours for Shabbos, and I know how important it was for you to see him and to interact with him, how special that was for all of us to see that. You remember being in Buchenwald with Rabbi Lau?
Yes, I remember. Because he's the smallest kid here among all of us. He was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
How long were you in Buchenwald? And what was it like?
Buchenwald, I came into Buchenwald was in 1904, end of the 1944. November, December 1944.
What was the day like in Buchenwald?
Buchenwald was an extension of Auschwitz, all the camps together. The principal we saw there with the crematoriums, so the gas chambers, and then we came into the camp. They told us to take off our clothes and everything and to go to take a shower. We hesitated to go to take the shower because we knew already what goes on. Just he had no other choice just to go and to see what's going on. They took the showers, they gave us fresh pajamas. They gave us a new number, not the number what we had on the arms, a complete new number on the chest with the sign by yellow. Flying.
You told the story in the past a number of times to me when you tried to escape.
Yes. It was on the way when we were going from Blackhammer to the Rosa.
Can you tell us about that?
I could not go anymore because in the van when I was there, always at the top there, and all of a sudden I heard that they giving out soup. So it was something to eat, something to and I jumped on top down and I broke my two ankles. And I could not go because the pain was so severe. So we were hiding under the hay in the farm. Who came there to dig us out was the Ukraine. That's what I had. Not to a hard feeling of I don't want to walk around with bad feeling. Just they won't think what they take me on, gave us up to the Nazis.
There was another time at a bakery.
That was in already from after Rose Rosen, and I was in Rose Rosen, and they took us to the train to walk about. We came up, we arrived to the city of Weimar. It was just 6 kilometers away from the Boulevard. America started to bombard the train because they did not know that that's just people that just thought that's soldiers. So I ran away from the train because the guards opened up the doors and everybody should run out from the. And I went to the city of Weimar. 2 other guys. What came out in front of our face was a baker. So a baker. But then we started to take bread and then we started. And that was momentarily bad because it's looting in time of bombardments. And just the assessment was holding the gun unhoused. And I saw that he started. He saw how we eat the bread and he started to cry with us. And he said, go back to Bombay, come back. He didn't do nothing to us, he said, go back. And so we joined back to where the train was there. That from there we went to Bombay.
While you were in any of the camps, did you have any connection to anybody in your family?
I had only one time I had connection because the engineer was also a Polish guy on the machine that he was working with me. So he went home the weekend so he went to the ghetto. That's how I got only one time connection that they told me that they are in the ghetto, and away from the city. The ghetto. He saw my mother. So she gave him something. That's all I had. I did not know for my sisters, I did not know for nobody what happened.
Okay, we've asked a number of the teens to prepare some questions for you. I know how important it is for you that the teenagers and the youngsters know the story of the Holocaust carry the tradition responsibly. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. And you just started, you stand up, and then one after the other, just introduce yourself and slowly articulate your questions.
Hi, I'm Benji Marquez. I go to Tiferes Boga, down the road. I'm 15 years old. So I got 3 questions. What was one thing that kept you going after the Holocaust to rebuild and continue on your journey through life?
It was very hard for me to adjust my liberation because I did not know where should I go, who should I go, what should I do, which direction I should go. They asked me where I want to go. I said no, to Poland. I am not going back. If somebody would be alive, we would get somehow together. Because I did not go back to Poland.
And what was something that you remember that existed in pre-war Europe before the Holocaust that the Jewish world lost and no longer have today?
I wish that we should have the life what we had at that time in Poland. That was tzaddikim, that was really Yiddish guy. That was a whole street where I was living was maybe the 10 or 12 Stiegler, but everybody was about 12 Stiegler. It was one shul, central shul also. Just this life, I miss very much. It's not anymore. I hope that you should bring it back.
And so, final question, what was a personality trait or a factor that people may have had in the camps that gave them a better chance of survival?
Everyone wants to survive. I cannot talk from I want to survive. I was always wanted to survive. I was a fighter for that. I was doing anything to go to organize myself, to find some food, whatever I could, and everything. That was my goal. Just a lot of people didn't have the will. They didn't have the discipline. They didn't have the thing that they could survive.
I only have one question. Did you ever use hope when the terror was burned? In the Holocaust, did you ever use hope?
No, I didn't lose hope. I always was a person that I believed in the hope that something, just my will, but I always had to believe in people, believe in shame, to have a moment of shame, because that's the education that I got home. That's how I was brought up, just to be people into, to help out to others, which I tried, as I didn't have nothing but to give them, just at least I could be for them if they needed.
Hi, I'm Abigail Levy, and our first question is, how has the Holocaust impacted your life today, and have you learned any lessons from your experience in the Holocaust?
How has the Holocaust impacted your life today? Have you learned any lessons? What lessons from the Holocaust?
I learned a lot of lessons from the Holocaust. To be a nice person, be a community person, to be friends, not to be selfish, just to help out to others if I could. Just I had also to think, what is my goal? What should I do? What should I do? I did not, I was young, I did not know, because I didn't have nobody to give me advice. And the advice what I get doesn't mean that was the right for me. So I tried to do the best of my life.
Thank you so much. And then, did your relationship with Hashem change in any way after going through the Holocaust?
Yes, after the Holocaust, from the beginning, I was not like anybody else. I was not believing because I was confused for myself, who I am, what I am. After I came to Israel, and I was in the kibbutz, I could also not be in the kibbutz because I had the feeling that I'm again in a concentration camp because the whole kibbutz was around with fires, with the guards staying around all the time. I could not adjust to the kibbutz life. I loved it, just I could not adjust myself to this because then after 1 year, I left. And I went to Haifa. I had a friend who was in the concentration camp. He had a sister, but she was living, she was the whole war, she was in Israel. So they let me stay with them for a while till I found myself a job where I can go to work and to support myself.
Thank you.
Hi, Chef Mayor. Thank you so much for doing this. My name is Ethan. I'm 18 years old. And my first question is, do you have any interesting stories to share about dealing with the British soldiers in Palestine?
The only thing that I have the British soldiers much amounts around, I did not like them because they behaved towards us like the Nazis in concentration camp. They took us to my camp in Cyprus. They behaved worse sometimes than the Nazis. So I didn't have to be towards them when I was in the Palmar. Then already I was trained for the Palmar and also the Haganah. And I didn't have good feeling to them. The only one people, soldiers were walking in Palestine at that time, that was the Australian soldiers. They were decent people. They were working hand by hand with us and with everybody in the kibbutz. They helped out.
Have you ever gone back to Poland to visit the concentration camps or participated in the March of the Living program?
Yes, I took my children. We went to Prague, and from Prague we went to Auschwitz. Krakow, and Krakow went to visit the Auschwitz. Show what happened there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for preparing and for asking, and for really giving Chef Mayor an opportunity to share his story with you. In a few moments, I'm going to open up the floor for anybody. If anybody has a question that they want to ask Chef Mayor or Bishop. But as a follow-up to one of the questions, Mayor, thinking about the impact of the Holocaust on your life, even professionally. Tell us if you can, as you're choosing a profession, we refer to you not just as beloved Mayor Rappaport, we refer to you as beloved Chef Mayor Rappaport. How did you get that surname, and what did that have to do with the Holocaust?
I have to decide what I want to do in my life, which profession I should go into, because I know I don't have nobody around me, and I have to do something to, first of all, to sustain myself and to go. And I said, I have to choose something, but I will never be hungry. chose to go to school for cooking. That was 5 years in Switzerland, and 2 years in Paris, studying, learning, from the Zim lines in Israel, they look for a chef for the ships. So I was promoted from that. So I was there, my senior colleagues, I was there to they promoted to them. Lecture in Shalom. I was the head chef in the Shalom.
So much of what we hear going on in the world today. You spoke about your faith, your trust in Hashem, and I know that Emunah is a very central, important theme and word to you and how you live your life. Tell us if you can, like, as the world today, anti-Semitism is what it is, what lesson of strength or what lesson of Emunah can you draw from your own experiences to help us relate to things as they're happening today and how we can have a perspective for the days ahead?
I was living a secular life, and I said, that's not the way what I want to do. Because I said there's some more inside of me than to live a secular life. And I told Russia, very much that should to guidance that I want to see myself the same thing that I saw as a child from my grandfather. That I should believe in Hashem, to do Avodat Hashem. And that's what I said to young people, you all. We want to go into life forward. Without Emunah, without discipline, you cannot go on. Despite it doesn't matter what you see at home, how it is at home, just you have to want it. If you would not want the Emunah, you would not want this discipline that we should get. We cannot always go and ask Hashem, please help me, help me, help me. If you don't help Hashem, He helps you all the time. Just have to help and also send to you. Also, I mean, help out with others who is in need. Stuck around. Then you will go, and then that's the life you have to go. That's what I took upon myself. And that's why, Baruch Hashem, you have to understand that I am not your age now. I was here. I was here. Now I hope that you all will come to my age. Instead that it's one thing. Just you have to have the life and you go to shul. Ask the rabbi what can we help, what we can do, to whom we go to help them. There are a lot of people what need help. You take over. We did our job. We try to do as much as we can do. Just you have to continue. Somebody has to continue. How will you continue? You will not do that. But please, have to talk to each other. Get together. Bring everybody together. Come to shore. You have another. That's what I want to express my character. We have here somebody, this shore, what you will not do. What we have here. We have a rabbi, but this is not only a rabbi. He is our father, he is our mother, he is everything to everybody, he loves everybody. When he says to everybody, he says, I love you. When he calls me on the phone, I love you. Well, he loves everybody. Just recently, I went through a very bad time. If not the rabbi, I don't know if I will be here today. Look at this speech here. That's just our rabbi. I felt very badly in the show, but I had to go, take him straight to the hospital. And I said, Rabbi, please, no, I don't want you have to go home because I have to take care of my wife. She needs my help. I went home, but the rabbi didn't listen to me. He called right away the Hatzalah. He brought into the house the best of the best what he could bring. I was in bed and the rabbi was laying with me on the bed and doing everything what he can. That's what you should know who we have here in this show. We have a person who gives everything of himself with his family. His family is in the children and everybody does that. I look up to them every morning. I pray for them for good health and everything. Just we have to give back a thought. We have to know what we have here in this show. Just don't forget it. Please. That is our love.
Love you, Mayor.
Love you too. You continue with the deed. Just don't think too much. You have too much on your plate. I know you try to do everything. Just that's what the Mr. is for everyone. If it's good or bad or whatever somebody needs, he's day and night. They call him in nights and every time he's there for everybody. And that's what I want to get the message to future. That's the person that we should learn how to be, how to behave, how to help everything. Because without this thing, we cannot go on. So please have the moment, have faith, and discipline. So if I have time for everything else, I have time to come to school, put on the twiddle and double. It's only a hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes in the morning to come to school. I get up every morning and then 4 o'clock, 3:30 in the house, and I take a shower. 5 o'clock, I am here in the show. Because I love my people. There's people here, everybody love me, I love them. I make coffee for them. I continue to do what I know to do. I would like to make breakfast like we used to do. I slow down. Now I would like you to step in. Come to me. You want to know something? You want to learn something? I will teach you. Cooking, whatever you want to know about cooking, come to me, ask me. Just take over. You're the future of our nation. You're the future of Israel. You're the future of each kind of Jewishness.
Your words are more powerful than any Shabbos Shuvah drasha that could ever be delivered.
I want to help you as much as I can. Because you deserve it. You built this show. I know how we started with you. I started with you with only 35 people in the show. In Kanana Harlem has become now almost 300.
You are a precious treasure to all of us, and we are blessed to learn from you. Is there anybody here who's assembled that would like to ask, to learn from some history, some stories, some familiar stories? Yes, Dr. Elfin.
Mayor Shu, I hope you won't be angry at this question,
Yes.
but you know I love you. We have a lot of children here tonight who are brothers and sisters, many of them whose parents and grandparents weren't Holocaust survivors. Can you tell us a little bit about your siblings and your parents who didn't come back so that they should? You're a sitting miracle here. We see you, but why don't you tell some of the youngsters here who didn't come back?
My mother didn't go back. My brother didn't go back. My grandparents from both sides didn't go back. My uncles and the aunts didn't come back. My cousins didn't come back. Now, recently, just a year ago, I lost my sister. That was the one. I am now the only one what is alive from the whole family of Rappaport, one sign, and everything is lost. I'm the last one alive.
Thank you. I'm wondering, in your travels, you mentioned Switzerland, France, how do you communicate, how do you express, explain to people that had no idea, that weren't Jewish even? How did you explain to them what you had gone through, and what had happened, and how you are here and surviving and thriving? How did you communicate to people that didn't understand what the Holocaust ever meant?
Very hard to go into what people's mind, into how they behave and what they do. When I came to France, to Ecouis, that was a sanatorium that we should come to ourselves. That was our organization. It wouldn't. And friends, but they did not, they were opposing that we should go to Israel. Was asked, and so as a child, but I didn't have too much knowledge or education that I should ask them. Just as a Jew, I thought, what is this? They are so divided. And after the Holocaust, what they think that they should say, don't go to Palestine. That was the premise. The same thing, I can ask the same question. Here in the United States. Why are you so divided? Why don't you? Why don't you? Which start the war and which starts, right? Because I ask myself all the time, I cannot forget this again, but the St. Louis ship came here to the 786 Jews. And nobody came out to their rescue. Nobody. Even the Jewish people didn't go to demonstrate that they against it, and only the Secretary of the Fed, the Secretary of Finance, he was the only one, and he resigned from his position because he opposed them to send back the people. That they did not do anything. So I'm asking, how are the Jewish people? The same question I ask myself today, how can Jewish people live in Germany? How can Jewish people live in Poland and all over and stepping on their own blood day? I wish everybody good health and that didn't rise up. Because if we will not wise up, if we will not help them now, we can wait and wait and wait and waiting so long for Mashiach, we will have to wait a long time more that Mashiach should come, because you see what's going on. That's why I'm talking to the children. Please, have emunah. Have emunah, because only with emunah to Hashem, then we will have maybe the redemption, the real redemption, what we're waiting for it so long.
One final question, Mayor, for you, and an invitation to us all. Final question is, I know that you live with Yom Hashoah every single day. It's not limited to one day, it's every day. It's morning, it's afternoon, it's night. It's the memories of the family members that you lost. It's the memories of a life that was stolen from you in childhood. It's the memories of the travels from one camp to another camp. It's the memories of your survival. Tell us what Yom HaShoah means to you this day, and why it's so important for us and for everybody to acknowledge, to commemorate, to reflect. What is Yom HaShoah to you and for us?
Yom HaShoah to me is to see in my lifetime, if I can, in my lifetime, that is what I saw in Poland when I was a child. It's the older people, what they had emunah. It was not a child, it wasn't an adult, it was not a thing. It was different people, what some just. I live every day now because I look every day at the picture of my mom and I pray to her, please give me the wisdom to continue and help me to change. I have the picture of Rabbi Soprono, Rabbi Schnilson, the Rabbi, and I looked at him also, and I said, please. I was by him 3 times, 4 times. I have the dollar bills from him, but I received at mine with this picture and everything. And I pray, bring us back to Hashem. That's what I feel. I feel there should be peace among families. Peace should be with everybody, that we should forget about everything else, just to be peaceful in the families. So give the education to your children, a Jewish education, that they should have a guidance. They have to have children, if you want them to have, like you want, you have to guide, because children need guidance. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. So that's what it's my advice to all of you, please. Concentrate on your children. Teach, send them to study, not only to go study, to sustain yourself also. You have to have a profession. Get married, to be sustained, you have to know that you have responsibilities. And that's how we grow out and you have to move on. That's how we can do it.
Before I give an invitation to everybody, I see that the relative would like to ask a question.
First of all, Chef Mayor taught me how to make delicious meatloaf, mushroom sauce, soup, latkes, and lots of other things. And my husband has not eaten breakfast since you stopped making breakfast in shul. So thank you.
So you can call me, I will continue to do it.
You taught the kids such an important lesson. Thank you for that. If you could just tell us as parents what you think that we can do to instill this emunah in our children. What can we do to make them strong to face the challenges that come?
Thank you for whatever. Continue with your good work, with your education for your students. And we can all learn how to build up a beautiful family with children. Everybody's a talent talker, everybody's a student studying, they're going in the right direction. And I have, whenever I see, because I grow up with them together, I see how they behave, how they do, what they became from them. Is there a lot of children here in Walker, what I met them when they were the babies, and they had their own babies around now, they have their own babies. So just, you are a model. You are a model. You, the rabbi, you are the models of that thank you to see it, and thank you to including me in that. I appreciate that.
So one final word, and that's words of invitation. The invitation that I invite everybody to do is to take advantage at any and every opportunity to, when you see Mayor, to stop him and to ask him. He's more than willing and interested to share his story, to sit over a cup of coffee, a glass of water, just to sit and chat. No matter your age, no matter your religious orientation, no matter anything. He wants to share his story because there is nothing more precious to him than the Jewish people and his community, his family, all of us. And as the recipient of hours and hours and hours of those precious, precious moments and conversations, I am a richer, fuller, wiser, more sensitive human being. And for that, I'm eternally and forever grateful. And so I invite everybody to visit, to chat, to learn, to hear, and to understand what it really means to have experienced the darkest period of modern times, to triumph with perspective, with hope, and with the one word that really describes you and what you say and what you do, the word of Emunah, which is who you really are. And so with that, I wanted, first and foremost, Chef Mayor, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us, for sharing your story with us, for being a source and repository of hope of our people and our future. Because your survival reminds us of the survival of our people, that we are eternal and will always be. So thank you for tonight, and thank you for every day, and thank you, Ruthie and the beautiful family, for just being you. And I want to thank everybody for being here as well, to our teams, to everybody who participated, and everybody who listened with rapt attention, because it really is our responsibility to take the lessons and the life and the purpose and the survival of one man and so many others, but our precious survivor, to take his story and make his story our story, because his story is our story. And now to be the voice of that story and what we say, but most importantly, as Mayor said, better than anyone. More than what we say, it's what we do. And we live those ways, then the life that has been lived and continues to inspire Chef Mayor will be a source of inspiration that will be spread out to everyone. I'll ask everyone, please, now to conclude this evening of commemoration, please rise for Kemal Rachamim, the memorial prayer. After which I invite everybody to live on your next door, which we get probably in 5 minutes. Kemal Rachamim, Shechem Amamim. Amitzein, Luchot Chana, Kanfei Ashikina. V'ma'ala, Eskidoshim V'toyim, Zaki Amatzim. Es Nishma, Yitzhak-Doshim V'Atarim Shomusu. Shnehelu, V'shenizrufo, V'shenechniku, Al-Kiddush Hashem. Ayde Tzarim, Agemanim, Yimach Shemam, V'Zifram. Barosh V'Nebet, Sadavat HaSkaraz, V'Shmotzeyem. V'Gan Eden, Tehem, V'Chasam. V'Chem, V'Alachami, Yasmin, V'Siskin, V'Chami, Yitzhak, Yitzhak, Chaim, V'Shmotzeyem. Adonai, L'Chasam, V'Shalom, V'Shmotzeyem. Amen. God full of mercy dwells on high. Grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence in the lofty levels of the holy and pure ones who shine like the glow of the firmament. For all of the holy souls and the holy and pure ones who are killed, were murdered and slaughtered, burned and drowned and strangled for the sanctification of your name. To the hands of the German oppressors and their accomplices, may their names and may their memory be obliterated. May the resting places of the holy and the pure ones be the Garden of Eden. May the Master of mercy shelter them in the shelter of his wings for eternity. And may he bind their souls in the eternal bond of life. Lord God is their heritage, and may they repose in peace on their resting places, and together we respond and say Amen. Amen. Next door at 7:40. Anybody and everybody who would like to get a bracha blessing for come up. Not tonight, a different time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The morning time, please come.